Hello, I'm Deb Morgan of Not a Rehearsal, and I've got the honour and privilege of interviewing some of the contributors to MO2VATE magazine. Now, MO2VATE magazine is the brainchild of Sharon Brown, the founder of Revival Sanctuary. And I'm joined today by Kim Lengling, who is one of the contributing authors. Kim is also a contributor to Revival, Women Embracing Their Superpowers, Volume 1, which is also the brainchild of Sharon Brown and Revival Sanctuary's first book in a series of books that they are doing. Now you can find out more about Revival Sanctuary, about MO2VATE magazine, and about Revival the book by going to revivalsanctuary.com. Or if you want to find out more about the magazine and subscribe to the magazine, you can go to MO2VATE magazine. That's MO, the number 2, VATE magazine.com. Kim, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, it's lovely to be here. I love doing these things. They're fun.
They are, aren't they? And, you know, we've spoken before when I interviewed you for the book. So I'm loving the fact that I get to interview you again because I'm finding out more about you every time. But I'm fascinated by your article in MO2VATE magazine, of which I should add, you are the cover girl of the very first issue. So it is an absolute honour and privilege to be speaking to a real life cover girl. Oh my goodness. Fantastic. Now your article struck me because it made me think of a term I learned at school and through a lot of my drama training, which was onomatopoeia.
Ah.
The word that is the headline and the subject of your article is Cytherism. Would you like to explain a bit more about what Cytherism is?
Technically, it means the sound the wind makes as it blows through leaves on a tree. And to me, when I don't even know why I wrote an article about it. It's a soft and gentle word. And we need a lot more of softness and gentleness in this world. And sitting on my back porch, I live in the country, sitting on my back porch, and I just listen to that all of the time. And it's so calming and peaceful. And I often wondered, is there a word for that noise? And somehow I stumbled upon it, Cytherism, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to write a little story about it. It's the way things pop in my head, but it's a gentle, soft word. And so to me, it needed a gentle, soft story, and it should be shared. So that's what I wrote, and they accepted it in the magazine. So
you're right. It is a gentle, soft sound, but you can feel as you say it. You can hear the wind through the leaves. You can be there. You can be so present in that moment. And throughout your article, you talk us through each of the seasons, but you liken them to seasons of our life, which I love. And within the article as well, and I don't want to embarrass you here, but I might, because I know how modest you are and how humble you are. But reading your article, I was brought to mind of two of the great poets. I was brought to mind of John Keats and his poem To Autumn, Seasons of Mist and Mellow Fruitfulness. And I was also brought to mind Wordsworth, I wandered lonely as a cloud, and particularly his line that says, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake beneath the trees. And
don't those words almost bring you to tears when you hear them, because it's such a peaceful, gentle visual that those words give you?
Exactly. And these two poems I adore because you read them and immediately you're there. You can feel the temperature in the air. You can hear the sounds around you of those seasons. And your article did exactly the same for me. And that is such a talent, Kim. Such an incredible talent.
It makes me embarrassed.
I know, I knew it would. And I did say I didn't mean to embarrass you, but that's immediately what came to mind. And I believe in praise where praise is due, and it is well deserved. You know, it's absolutely well deserved. But talk me through those seasons and the link to the seasons of one's life, because it was beautiful.
I take a lot of walks. I walk my dog twice a day for at least a half an hour each day, first thing in the morning and then in the evening when I get home from work. So I'm outside as much as I can be. And there were several years there where life was very, very difficult. And I found myself in a dark spot or several dark spots. And to be outside was where I was able to find my peace and my calm. And it went through different seasons. And the way the leaves on the trees, like that soft whisper in the spring, those new leaves that are just budding, and they're soft leaves. If you physically touch them, they're soft and they sound different in the spring. It's just quiet. It's a whisper. And then they grow in the summer and they make a little more noise, but it's not noise, it's a gentle. And then autumn comes and the leaves fall and crunch and the trees are getting ready to quiet down and sleep for a bit until it all starts again. And that word Scytherism and all of the walks and stuff that I take through every season, it doesn't matter what kind of weather I'm out there with my dog, it started making me think of looking back. I was reflecting on my life and the different seasons. And then I realized at my age, what season I'm currently in. And I'm in the beginning of fall. And that struck me. And so it just came to me. I'm thinking I think I've got to get this down because maybe someone else will get it. Oftentimes I think I'm a little different because I get these stories and I hear stuff or see stuff outside, or maybe it's a caterpillar. And I'm like, wow, you've got a major change and transformation coming in your life. How cool that would be to watch. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm in transition too. So you can liken your life to nature. It's just everywhere. And if we're able to do that, I think, at least for me personally, to pay more attention to nature and how it all flows together the way it's supposed to. And so many times it's gentle and it's just a nice, easy transition. We need to be able to be gentle and easy in our own transitions. So I liken my life and things that have happened within nature a lot. And that brings me peace to do it that way. If any of that makes sense.
It makes total sense. I'm really struggling not to just sit here and read your article aloud to the viewers because it is so beautiful. And I just want to share some of the language you use in it. It is so poetic. You talk about the chilly October breeze blowing through trees, leaves that have begun their yearly change from soft and fluttery to crisp and quick. An entirely different song they sing as they dance. As the days become colder, one by one, the leaves swirl and float upon fall's cool winds, gently landing on the ground. And then you talk about winter, and you say, as winter approaches, the leaves begin to fall and be blown hither and yon, floating along with cold bursts of wind. And I can feel those cold bursts of wind come in, and to be able to take the reader into that moment and actually give them all of the senses, awaken the senses within the use of words, is such a talent. And perhaps I'm tuned into it because of the acting I've done. So you're always looking for clues within the lines to tell you how you need to respond. You give it to us. We don't have to work hard. How do you do that? How on earth do you do that in your writing?
I have been asked that numerous times. I'm not trained in writing. I just started writing. And I noticed as the years went by, if I look back 16 years ago is when I started writing. And I look back at how I used to write 16 years ago, it is so different from now. It was a little, not harsh, but harder, more direct, more to the point. And I noticed as the years went on, it gentled, it softened a bit. And now I think it's also part of the transition of my life, I think. And I need things to be more gentle. That's, no drama, no negativity, no darkness floating around. Life is too short to let all of that settle upon your shoulders. It's just too short. And yeah, I'm 52 years old. I have no problem saying that. And I've went honestly to too many funerals in the last few years of people my age and younger. And it makes you really stop and take note of where you're at in your own life, how you treat people, how you treat nature, how you treat animals, and just how you settle within your own world. And I've come to a point in my life where I need to, or I have settled into contentment. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but the seasons of, like, we're reaching fall here. And I'm in Northwest Pennsylvania. The leaves are just starting to change, you know, starting to turn yellow and orange. And when I see that, I think, here we go again, you know, another change. And I'm going to start walking through those crunchy leaves and watching my dog romp around and play in them and find more woolly bears, caterpillars that are crawling around. I look forward to that. Those are the things that I look forward to. And I try not to let all of this outside stuff throw its poison darts at me. You know, I'm letting them bounce now, I guess. My new mantra, I don't even know how you pronounce that word, is let fear bounce. That's my new thing.
Let fear bounce. I'm writing this down.
I have been saying that for a while, because fear is everywhere. Everyone is so filled with fear of many, many different levels. And I'm thinking, you know what? I got to strap on my armor and let all those poison darts just bounce. And I get a visual picture. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that's a good one. Let fear bounce. Because if you keep on letting the fear land on you, you're not going to enjoy anything else. Anything else. And I spend so much time outside because of that. It's like, all right, all this outside stuff, all this extraneous stuff that's happening, you know, at work and colleagues and all of that. And I come home and I just look at my dog Dexter and say, you know what, buddy, let's go for another walk. You know, so
fabulous.
It settles you, it grounds you. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, so you've got to don't let fear and all that negative stuff come at you and land on you. Don't let it land. Let it bounce. Let fear bounce. That's my new thing. I'm going to say it as much as I need to.
I love it. And I was going to ask you, where do you get your inspiration for your writing? And does it just flow? But I almost think you've just answered that. You know, you've said let fear bounce, and I'm already hearing another story, another article, another book, just in what you've described to me. So, you know,
I'm working on one.
So, you know, where does the inspiration come from? And does it just flow? Or do you have to sit and think about each word that you're going to write?
I honestly have never had to sit and think about it. And that's how things have transitioned over the years. And honestly, I spend so much time outside, and I'm probably just repeating myself. I get my inspiration from outside, watching how things are transitioning out in nature, or, you know, watching the critters run, or the deer that come in my backyard every night to eat the corn that I put out for them. There's stories. There's so many stories in there that it literally just pops. It just kind of, they gently whisper in. That's how it is. It just kind of settles, you know, like soft raindrops. And I'll be like, oh, okay. So I get in and I literally just get on my computer and start typing, and then it's just out. It's like I have to get it all out. And then I walk away from it for a day or two. And then I come back and read it out loud to myself. I'm like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. All right. Yeah, you know, but that's literally how it works. I just,
wow. So these stories in themselves are almost, in one respect, Cytherism in your ears. You know, it's not the wind through the leaves, but it's actually the stories are the Cytherism in your mind. I think that's wonderful. And, you know, to be able to come in and just get it down on paper. So often, I think many of us would be able to relate to, I've got an idea, I've got to get it down on paper. And then you read it back and you think, what on earth was I thinking? You actually read it back and it's something beautiful. It's poetic. It, you know, it inspires so many other people. And as I said, you know, I just want to read it out loud because it's so poetic and beautiful. And all of your writing is the same. And I can't believe that you've said, and you have told me this before, that you're not a trained writer. This has just come through you, through life's experiences and the ability to reflect. So, do you think that, therefore, age and life's experiences make you a better writer?
I think so, yes. And I'm also, I've come to find, incredibly empathetic. And I think that has a lot to do with it. Um, and being so empathetic, I wasn't aware of what that was throughout my life. And then when I realized what it was, because other things, I actually, I take it upon myself and it sinks into me. And I carry more than I probably should. I think a lot of women probably do.
Mhm.
To me, at times, it's almost too much. And so that's why I've had to, let a lot of that bounce. And so when it gets like that, I have to, my heart does it for me. I don't look for it. My heart does it for me. And I think God helps me. When I get to a point where it's going, okay, Kim, oh, a little too much, then something soft will come. Something a person is put in my path. Or I'll see a deer out in my backyard right at the right time. Right when my mind is going, oh, this has just been an awful day. You get anxious. You feel that anxiety coming.
Yes.
And then something always, lately anyway, has been put in front of me. And I'm like, okay, I'll let this go. And I'm going to let this go. And then a deer will walk in my backyard. And it almost brings me to tears sometimes because I'll look at him and he'll stand there. They come very close. They're used to me. And he just stands and stares. And it almost brings me to tears because I'm thinking, all I can think and see is the absolute beauty and wonder in this creature, and then I just kind of go, oh, okay, so I don't know.
And
I think,
that's so grounding.
yeah, it is. It's very grounding. And being empathetic is hard sometimes. And it can really tire you out and make you weary. And it's not fun to be weary.
That's true. Now, I want to ask, you said you started writing 16 years ago, and I know that's when you started writing professionally, if you like. What was your writing like when you were in school? Did you have an aptitude for it then, or is it something that you have discovered in later life?
I remember, and it's funny you asked that because I was just thinking of one of my old English teachers from high school. And occasionally we would have to write something on what we were studying. And I would always just write something out. And I recall him saying, this is very well done. But as a teenager, you're like, whatever, I got my homework done, and you never thought. I just started thinking about that the other day. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that was a little nugget that teacher gave me that I tucked away and never really thought about. And then, years and years later, it was time for that little seed to start growing, so he planted that little seed and then it started, sprouting a little bit. And now I think I'm starting to bloom.
Fantastic. And you've talked about how this is a softer side of you and how you now surround yourself with softer things. And this is a stark contrast to your professional career, isn't it? Do you think that
Yes.
you've sought out the softer side because of your professional career?
Yes. Yes, I absolutely do. I'm in a very male-dominated career. I'm a marketing manager and salesperson in manufacturing. So most people I deal with are men. You deal with them totally different. So I'm a total different persona during the day, Monday through Friday. During the day, the work hours, I am a different person. And so when I come home, I have to take that off because that's heavy sometimes, and you have to. And I don't like not being able to be completely who I am for 8 hours a day. And sometimes you have to, you have to play. And this is going to sound harsh, but it's true. You have to play the boys' game sometimes, and unfortunately, and I'm good at it. But when I come home, sometimes I'm very tired. And actually, a lot of times the stories that come to me late at night, or I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I've always called that kind of my witching hour, because that's when ideas and these visualizations of things pop up in my head. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that could be a story. Oh, I've got to get that down. So I don't sleep a whole lot or well. And so a lot of those stories some of my darker stories come from that time frame, that 3 o'clock in the morning thing. It's kind of a witching hour. If you talk to anybody else who has any creativity, and I'm sure you've done it yourself,
Oh, yes.
the middle of the night and you have all these ideas and you're like, well, I'm up, you know, might as well do something positive and don't let the negative hang around. But yeah, there's a definite difference from work Kim to outside of work Kim.
That's beautiful. And I love the fact that you say, you know, you're in a male dominated environment, so the softer side comes out when you're at home and when you can be more yourself. And, you know, I've just realized as you were saying that at the top of this interview, I likened you to two great poets who are both male. And actually, you know, they were displaying the softer side of themselves in this, of course, in a bygone era, in a very different time. But the fact that I quite like, and this is blowing my own trumpet, I like the fact that I've put you up there without knowing this bit about you, without knowing that the writing enables you to bring out your softer side because you're in a very male-dominated environment. And to be up there, as far as I'm concerned, as good as Keats, as good as Wordsworth, that's playing the boys at their own game, you know,
Yeah.
and winning and being successful at it. And whilst it's not a competition because we're all very different, you are creating your life on your terms and delivering what you want to deliver on your terms. So Kim, I need to ask, go on.
I was thinking as you were speaking there, for me, it is so much easier to write out what I feel than to speak it. The words flow better typing them than to be able to speak them. I stumble on words when I'm talking, or I'll get myself flustered at times. And people are like, you know, well, that's not you at all, you know. And I'm going, oh, well, you know, we all have our little quirks. But it flows and is so much easier for me to get that softer side out when I'm typing. Because I've asked people, and I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you haven't, try it. Ask someone that you don't really know all that well, and just say, when you first met me, what was your first perception? And I've done that with a few people, and without fail, not one of them said or ever got the impression that I was soft or vulnerable. They said, you come across as stoic at times, but tremendous strength and very, very honest. So they see stoic, strength, and honesty. And I was surprised by that because I didn't realize they gave off that impression. They said, when you walk in a room, it's almost like you're commanding it and you don't even realize it. And I said, I almost took offense because I said, I don't want attention when I walk in. And they're saying, no, you're not looking for it or asking for it, but you walk in and people stop and say, who's she? And that threw me completely off for a few days because I'm thinking, is that a negative thing? Do I come across as too, you know, powerhouse? But then I think, you know, at times it's probably not bad.
No, and actually this is the start of a whole other debate and maybe a whole other interview. But you know, so many women can relate to that. You are one person in the workplace and somebody else outside of it. People perhaps in the workplace don't see the hidden depths, is what I want to call them. You know, and you're right. You know, like you, I've often, people will say to me, "Oh, she can cope with anything. She's stoic. She's honest. She's confident. She commands a room." Where inside, I feel anything but that. So I can completely relate to that, and I know of so many other women who can. And what would your advice be to those women who are trying to make sense of these two different sides of them.
Embrace both of them. There are times when I'm walking into, maybe I'm going to be public speaking in front of a group, and I have to put on in my head, I put on my, invisible armor and say, you got this, Kim, we're going to do this. We're going to rock this. Go in and do it. I have to pump myself up for it. And so I'll walk in, do that. But then when I leave, people have no idea what's going on, like in my stomach, and I've learned to embrace that part of it too. So, people, they're like, wow, you never look nervous. You get up there and you just start doing your thing. And I'm thinking, you have no idea. I wanted to throw up in the parking lot, but I think, especially for younger women that are getting into the workforce, no matter what area you're in, feel intimidated if you need to, because embrace it. It's an emotion and people are going to feel that way, but then twist it. I don't let anyone intimidate me ever. I used to, but now I don't, because what's the point? I'm only putting extra weight on myself that I have to work over. It's a stumbling block. Jump over it. It's a block, for goodness sake. Jump over it. Again, let fear bounce, but embrace your vulnerability and let that shine when it needs to, or when it's the best time to. But there's always so much strength in everyone. People are so much stronger than they know, even if they don't think it. So embrace both sides. Embrace that strength and embrace your vulnerability. You'll find a balance, but it takes life experience too to find that balance. Or get a mentor. Find someone, another female, that you can just let all that stuff out, and say they're 10 or 20 or more years older than you. They can give you advice. Okay, well then let's look at it this way. Because so many times you're in your own bubble. You need that unbiased opinion or encouragement from someone who doesn't know you 100% well and is completely outside your bubble, outside your realm, and listen to them. And it's so helpful. It truly is.
Kim, that has been absolutely amazing. We've come to the end of our time. I could sit and talk to you for hours, as I can most people, but absolutely fascinating. And in the meantime, I'm going to leave you and our viewers and listeners to go out and enjoy the fall if they're in the US, enjoy the autumn if you're in the UK, and just listen out for that Scytherism, because you're going to hear it everywhere from here on in. Kim Lengling, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for contributing to MO2VATE magazine. MO2VATE magazine is available at MO2VATE magazine.com. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And you.